Yep, yeah, recording started. All right, mate. Here we are. This is our podcast.
They don't want to be locked into a house or an apartment or some space.
Got to follow the social distancing rule.
More social distancing keeps more people healthy.
It's like, oh, you guys are good at talking shit. Why don't you just do a podcast? As soon as you try to do a podcast, we sound like a bunch of muppets. Mate, I'm really starting to question this prick's commitment.
I reckon it's a classic example of someone that he gets a little bit of success in his career. Like, he's not like a shit kicker anymore, let's be honest. He's like a GC guy. And from what I've seen, success can go two ways. You know, you can become a better bloke, or in the case of George, you know, your priorities just eliminate the little minions like us.
Maybe we should be focusing on him in the legend and Bellion section this week.
Well, it'd be a straight up vote, wouldn't it?
Is George Bennett
simple
legend or Bellion?
Oh, anyway, show goes on.
Show goes on, mate. We're here. What do you got for me today? What do you got? You've been focusing on...
hang on. He's joined. Oh, we could put the display names. There you go.
Oh, George Bennett.
Hey, you filled out. He's filled out. Have a look at him.
Sorry, mate.
You got the bulletproof vest on this week.
You've gone from Skeletor to cliffhanger.
How late am I?
You look like Stallone hanging
30
off that
seconds.
rock.
30 seconds.
Oh, it's 30 seconds. I'm not even late. The call's early.
Where the hell have you been?
I realised I was wearing a T-shirt, a low-cut T-shirt, and after last week...
Oh, whoops. That was my bad. Sorry.
After last week, my self-confidence took such a hit after wearing a singlet. I decided I'd go for a winter jacket. I'm sweating. It's about 32 degrees outside, but after you bastards hooked into me...
let's be honest. That singlet wasn't doing you many favours, mate.
No. Look, this is the thing. It was the actual genuine gripe.
Yep.
You can call, like, in this day and age, no worries. Someone's skinny. Oh, fuck, that guy's real skinny. But you can't go, oh, that guy's real fat. But what's the difference? I mean, like, maybe I look like fucking Skeletor. You look like a bloody potato. What's the point? You know? Like, what's the difference? It's still like...
You've been sitting on that all week, haven't you?
Oh, I've been brooding. Do you know when I was brooding? I wasn't brooding at the time. And then I got a message on Twitter or something, and someone said, like, yeah, fuck, George, you looked like a skeleton, didn't he? I looked on their profile. I was like, mate, don't get me started on what you look like. You know?
It is a good point, though. I think it's because people generally strive to look fit or, you know, relatively lean, and it's easy to get big or overweight. It's probably more enjoyable.
It's definitely more enjoyable to get, but although I can't, honestly, I actually can't. I reckon it'd be harder for me to get big, like proper big. Like, you know, I could probably get, you know, soft or sloppy, but to get proper big would be a lot more work than to get lean. Because to get lean, all I do is run it.
You could do it.
There's
no doubt about it. But like, is it actually okay to call someone skinny, or is like there's got to be like a middle ground?
I think we probably crossed the line. Well, I did, by labelling him Skeletor.
But now I mentioned it, you do look like a potato, though.
No, I look more like a thumb.
All I can imagine. Have you seen Humpty Dumpty, the cartoon? There's the egg
there you go.
sitting on the wall.
That's not much different at all, is it?
Put the headphones on there.
Yeah, there you go. It's just a thumb with headphones.
I reckon I can get Caitlin to draw me a couple of headphones on my thumb, and I can go around doing Dan Jones impersonations.
Yeah. So what have you been up to this week,
mate? We got some good news here in Spain.
Yep.
We've entered lockdown phase 1, which is the opposite to New Zealand. New Zealand's going backwards from 4 to 1. So number 1 for us is still pretty low in the ranks. But we as of yesterday, we could see some friends. So for me, it was a real big coup. It's been a long period of not seeing anybody, doing punishing cooking shows, making punishing podcasts, finally, yesterday, I got to go and meet our friend's new baby. Stayed the night out there, helped out a little bit, played with their.
So when you say you
older
helped out,
daughter.
you helped out. What did you do?
So what I did,
you changed nappies, elbow deep in baby shit, just chucking bottles down, just doing all the hard stuff.
Are you hands on or?
I took the recycling out this morning.
All the piss you drank last night. That's all you took. You took the bottles out that you drank.
I took a 6-pack out there and I sat in the swimming pool and I watched them. I was just like moral support, you know. No, actually, I'll tell you what.
When
what
you
I
have a
did
newborn, unless you're actually doing what George said, you're not really much of a help. You could probably add more stress.
Yeah.
No, I made like a parenting 101 fuck up actually, and it was a reality check for me. So last night we went to bed. I helped out, and then when we went to bed last night, their 3-year-old daughter had been in bed for a few hours already. I said to my mate, I said, look, if you wake up in the morning and she wakes up early, if you guys need a bit more sleep, send her into my room. Like, I'm more than happy for me I'll entertain her in the morning, you know. And then at 8 o'clock this morning, I heard her yelling, "Sam, I'm awake. Sam, I'm awake." And I just went down that road of like, maybe if I just close my eyes and pretend I can't hear her, she'll stop. She didn't stop.
So you've offered to help, and then in the morning you've put it into the too hard basket. You only got to do it one time, and that's it. You couldn't deliver.
She came into my room to wake me up, and she said, "Sam, wake up! It's morning." And I was like, "It's clearly you're operating on a sundial here. It's not morning for me yet. It's 20 past 8. It's not morning."
8 o'clock's good, mate.
Yeah.
Most kids are up at sort of 6:30, 7. Like,
what's your schedule these days, Jonesy? Does that change much?
No, not really. Our kids are daycare Monday to Wednesdays, which is great because you get that pocket during the day to free up heaps of time. But because you can't do anything, you actually just sit around going, geez, like, how am I going to fill this in? And you end up like Googling things like, making podcasts and Googling people for, are they a legend or a bell end? We've got some good stuff on the show today, but kids, they just chew up all your time, mate, and your whole schedule just runs around them. And it, like the other night, we got Georgette a brand new bed, and that was a big moment. You know, once they get out of the cot and they get their own bed, you're like, okay, well, they're starting to become independent. But then we didn't factor in that she's got freedom now, so she can run right, and getting her to stay in the bed, she just doesn't want to do it. So it's just become a bit of a nightmare scenario. And
what
then
about a bit of chicken wire over the bed or something?
I was tempted to do something like that. And
I don't see the moral issues around that though. I mean, it's a safety thing, isn't it? Chicken wire under the bed.
Are you on that dial-up internet again, George?
Oh, here we go.
He's useless, eh?
He's back.
He is useless. Like, he can't. You think if he's going to turn up late, he'd at least check he's on the right connection.
Could you imagine him as like some sort of tech director on a team?
Like, that'd be good, mate. I'll put everybody.
That internet though, that is as good as that.
You know
dial-up.
It's logistics.
What's that? Are you on the right? Are you right on the?
You're questioning my logistical ability.
No, are you on the right Wi-Fi connection? Because last week you were pirating your neighbours.
I am now. I wasn't.
Oh well, there you go.
I was back on the there was a moment when we moved into this apartment a while ago when there was I think we moved in, maybe the riots were on, and at that moment the Wi-Fi man was too scared to make the move across town to install our Wi-Fi. So I was pinching the neighbours for a long time.
Hey, I've got a little tip for young players for you, George. What you do is you go into your little Wi-Fi signal on the top right of your computer, and you just forget that network so that it never joins it again, ever. So that when you turn up late to next week's board meeting, you're not going to be pixelated.
I think it brings a good element to the show. I think it brings a good element. A bit of slow Wi-Fi brings.
Yeah, but there's only so we can only play that gag once. You know? Then it just becomes annoying. Hey, back to random topics. I was doing a bit of deep dive research onto what COVID-19 could potentially kill off, and The buffet is in dire straits, folks.
It's not surviving. It is not surviving.
It won't get through this. I saw a research article. The Four Seasons in New York City were doing some testing on, how do we sort of safeguard a lot of this, social distancing and corona type stuff. And the mini bar's in danger, because you think if you stay at a hotel and someone's touched a couple of bottles that had just been hanging there, and you come in the next night, I mean, you're in trouble with the minibar.
Yeah, but who's half different a bottle of something out the minibar? If you're hooking something in the minibar, you're finishing it.
But then you're refilling it with water and putting it back in.
Yeah,
that's where the risk is.
And then extra pillows, extra blankets, all that stuff that gets tucked into the corner in your hotel. That's all going to be finished. But yeah, the buffet, which is a staple.
What about
definitely was in the 80s is pretty much done.
What about if they did, when they put those babies in incubators, or people in incubators and stuff, and they have the incubator and the nurses put their hands in those gloves and they work on them from the outside. What about if you just ran an enclosed, an incubator sort of style buffet with a whole bunch of glove hands in there? Maybe you're going to have to change your gloves, obviously. But then you can just come launch in, and you actually don't go anywhere near the buffet because it's enclosed, and you just pull it out and you put it in.
Yeah, but you're still putting your hands in the gloves.
Yeah, but you spray a bit of disinfectant in there or something.
No, but the problem is getting COVID, and if someone's got COVID,
that is a problem.
That is the problem. And as George said, it's the hands in the gloves.
Yeah, but surely you can solve
glove on glove.
What buffets have you been to that it's worth this? I mean, I've never been to the only buffet I remember having any fond memories of was, do you remember Valentine's? Maybe that still exists. Yeah. It'd be all you can eat. So we just go.
It's like Sizzler?
Yeah, Sizzler.
Yeah. Is it the same? Okay.
Yeah.
So that was great when I was 7, and you should see how many chicken wings we could put away. But since then, what buffet have you been to? When you think of buffet, I think of French amateur racing, going up and getting a grated carrot salad, some lentil, some overcooked chicken and some sloppy pasta. That's all I think of buffets, race hotels.
Well, the Grand Hyatt does an unbelievable buffet in Melbourne. First training camp, we stayed there. I mean, it's pricey. It's one of those sort of posh buffets. But yeah, I think there was a big downturn for a while there because of the quality of the buffet, and you only have to look at the clientele. There was talking about thumbs. There was a lot of people that were sort of not on the skinny scale, hoofing in, and I don't think these places could turn a profit in the end. But they've got the sneeze guard. I mean, I think that'd be sort of tackling corona head on.
I think you want a bit of corona though, because otherwise you're going to pigeonhole yourself like New Zealand has. New Zealand's actually in a real pickle. I was just reading about this morning, because we've done, depending on how you look at it, I mean, really well in terms of we're basically crushed. There's no coronavirus in New Zealand, maybe one case every 2 days, which is awesome. But on the same time, I was reading as the world opens up, New Zealand's now exposed itself with no corona and no sort of any immunity within the country.
No, they're a long. Everyone's actually a long way from herd immunity. You speak about that herd immunity thing, and Spain, for example, they've got 250,000 confirmed cases, but they're saying that they did a sample test of antibodies, and they're saying that 6% of Spain has the antibodies. So 6% of Spain is still much more than 250,000, but you're still only talking about 1 or 2 million people.
Yeah, you need 70% or something.
Herd immunity is
yeah.
But maybe it's when you do an exam at school or whatever, you have to get 70% to pass. It's not 51. Surely if you get 51%, that's the majority, but you still don't pass.
What's 51?
But haven't they said that this thing could morph into something a bit stronger? Even if you've got immunity, it might not be any good in 12 months' time. It's constantly changing.
Oh yeah, they did say it has a low mutation rate compared to other things, to the common flu. But anyway, remember that those COVID conversations I was trying to avoid last week when I was late? I'll run straight into one here, so I'm going to have to.
You feel free to leave.
I'm going to go back to.
We thought we would just start off like a little bit easy and a little bit mellow and a little bit relevant before we dive head first into the wall of controversy with the legend and Bellings we're going to bring up today.
Who is in today?
Well, before we do that, have we got any Trump? Have we got any Trump dirt today?
What was the latest? He's taking some drug that he's been advised not to, that he thinks is going to knock off this corona.
Malaria tablet.
That's it. And one of the side effects isn't blurred vision or headaches, it's death.
I read that article and he said, "What?" He said, "I've been taking it for 10 days, this malaria tablet, and you know what? I feel fine." Yeah, but
I was in Thailand once with this. I was just on holiday on this trip at the end of the season, not that long ago, actually, like 4 or 5 years ago. And I was at this beach, and this girl was just came in, and she was just pink from head to toe. And I was like, "Holy shit, what's happening?" She's like, "Oh, sunburn." I was like, "No, it's not sunburn." She was looked like
a gamba prawn.
Yeah, looked like a prawn. And I was like, "How long have you been out for?" And she's like, "Oh, only 45 minutes." And I was like, "No, that's wrong." And then she reckoned because you've been taking malaria tablets, malaria tablets had ruined all the pigment in her skin.
Is it heaps of zinc in them or something?
Yeah, I don't know. He's been taking zinc as well. Is it? Maybe he's been taking it longer than 10 days because it's been orange for a hell of a lot longer than that.
Yeah, but I reckon the orange is going to go. If he gets on the malaria, the orange is going to go. He's going to start looking like you.
But does he get orange from it? Is he doing tanning beds or something as well? Because he seems to be white around the eyes.
Yeah, the eyes where those goggles on. Yeah.
But apparently it's true that if you do eat heaps of carrots, someone told me this the other day, you actually does change the pigment in your skin.
I think in the dark.
That's why he's so fit looking.
I went to school with a guy, bushwhacker, Michael McNaught, and he lived on a farm. And
should you be saying his full name on this podcast?
He won't be tuning in. Don't worry. I think he's in America now. He's a bushwhacker. But he used to eat heaps of carrots, and everyone warned him, "Hey, bushwhacker, go easy on these carrots." And by the end of the year, he looked like Bart Simpson. He just went bright yellow.
How much carrots are you eating? I'm putting away a few carrots. Am I in danger?
No, he was chowing down probably maybe 4 or 5 carrots solid. He just ate them like snacks.
I'm on the limit of that though. I have a carrot. I hook into the carrots. I love a carrot.
I'm surprised I'm not green with the amount of Alhambras I've been drinking.
Yeah, well, one other problem I was reading with COVID. Back to your favourite topic is they're going to run out of new movies too from Hollywood because all the ones that they started, they've had to obviously stop, and they reckon maybe in about 4 or 5 months, all the ones that were done pre-COVID will be ready to go. But there's a lot of big ones that have had to be on hold. They're filming
Avatar.
What? Avatar? Are they doing another one of those?
I'm sure they can do Avatar from home, can't they?
It's a computer.
Just go on the computer.
Well, they're doing the new Matrix, and a new Batman. So they're running out of ideas anyway. So it might be.
And the new Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, Tom Cruise loves it.
No, but that's done. I think that's filmed, isn't it?
Oh.
I think that's ready to go.
Yeah, because Tom Cruise, he wouldn't mind it, but working in a COVID environment, he's all up for it. But he does all the stunts, everything, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, Scientologist as well.
Yeah. Oh, well, that might lead us into. Oh, by the way, Last Dance is finished. What do you think of the last 2 eps, Jules?
I haven't watched the I've only watched one of the last two episodes because I was busy last night babysitting, and it's been a real genuine good guy.
I'm surprised you didn't just put it on and leave the baby to
no, we did watch one episode. So I've got one to go.
Apparently Scottie Pippen's gone to ground. He's not happy with how he's portrayed in the series.
Well, and it's what he was. It's what he did.
And Luke Longley back here in Australia has changed his phone number, so no one can get interviews with him. He's gone to ground as well. But
I did a poll. So just before we launch into these next two, we ran a poll on social media, on Facebook and on Instagram. Legend or Bellin, Michael Jordan, Ellen DeGeneres. Interesting results. Ultimately, we were right. which I expected we would be. Michael Jordan was majority a legend.
Of course, we were right.
But
no.
There were people who said no.
We shame them on this podcast who voted no.
We could do. Like, I would hope that they were just taking the piss. But there was, Michael Jordan was 75% legend and 25% Belling.
This sounds suspiciously like 4 people voted. These numbers are quite clear cut.
I think it was 12.
No, we had the numbers gone in there.
We had a few hundred. And Ellen DeGeneres was like 84% Belling. And then a couple of supporters out there.
Well, I think she's starting to crack. I was reading an article since then. She's probably listened to the podcast and it's all starting to dial up. But yeah, it's starting to get to her, I think, because it's just relentless. And it's like tall poppy syndrome in Australia. I mean, we love shooting down people that sort of get a bit too big for their boots. But it would have to affect you if your whole shtick is be kind to each other and all that.
Yeah.
And then the relentless people saying, people like us, you're a bellend. It's a tough gig to then try and be up and about.
This segment at times is that a lot of people call me a bellend on the internet. And
we called you one about 21 minutes ago before you logged on to this call.
Yes, that's what worries me. Whatever happens in the first 1.5 minutes while I wasn't on today, that concerns me. I'll go back and look at that later. But we're always ripping on the people that are like judging us online, like, these guys don't know us, but here we are. Like, what do you reckon? This guy is a dickhead, isn't he?
Well, this is our chance. This is our chance to change their minds, George.
Yeah, that's right. And then I saw someone comment on the Michael Jordan. They said, "What about that other famous MJ?" Michael Jackson. Wow. Don't like those lengths.
Yeah. Well,
all I'll say is if you've got a good set of pipes and you can sing, you can get away with a lot more than crazy old Joe up the end of the street who likes to sleep in the same room with 10-year-old kids. I'll just leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that, eh?
Yeah.
Who on today? Who's our subjects today?
We got a couple. We've got a couple. We've got. I reckon we've one of them's going to be actually but they'll both be good discussion points. But I think one of them's a real clear-cut bellend from my point of view, and I think one of it's going to be. You guys are both in a position to sway me either way, and that's Elon Musk. Is he a legend or is he a bellend? And
it's a tough one.
It's a tough one. I could be swayed either way here.
Mm. Well, George, you've done a bit of research on our mate Elon. Do you want to open up the batting and?
Yeah, all right. Well, I like to give people I'm gonna push through the legend just for 2 things. One, I'll accept that he's a knob, but who is doing more work to lead the eco revolution, than this guy? So despite his latest gambling.
Well, he's opened up his factory when he was told not to recently.
Yeah, so despite the fact he's gambling with people's lives at the moment in the face of COVID-19, which I completely think. I mean, there's a lot of things he does I completely disagree with. I mean, his cryptic tweets about taking the red pill, moving, maybe he might even be a bit of a Trump sympathizer. Who knows? Who doesn't? It's irrelevant for me. What I care about is that this guy is leading the eco revolution, and he's, at the end of the day, the problem is in America, everything is either blue or red. Everything is, maybe he votes Trump, so therefore everything he does is shit. Where it doesn't have to be black or white, blue or red. It doesn't have to be like. You can agree with some of his stuff and not have to agree with everything. So I don't agree with. I think he's a dick for whatever. I don't agree with his politics in terms of.
What do you think of his kid's name? His latest kid's name?
Kyle.
That was just his computer password. He just typed that onto the birth certificate and then shit. Oh well.
Hey, you talk about his mission to save the planet and go eco-friendly and all that, which he's doing undoubtedly.
More than most in the technological sector. Like, who else is
certainly
coming with these solutions?
Jeff Bezos maybe, but he what about his statement I saw, this was a couple of years ago now, when he was talking about going to Mars and going to live on Mars, and he's saying, like, you're going to have to live in transparent domes for the first however many years until they evolve. He put Mars. He said Mars is a fixer-upper planet, clearly, and he needs to make some changes so that it can be inhabited as an Earth-like planet. And the first
terraform it.
And what you need to do, what he said you need to do, is you just need to heat Mars up. So they said, how are you going to heat Mars up? And this was on the late night show, and the host was challenging Elon Musk. He said, you do good things and you're a billionaire. That either makes you a superhero or a villain. So what are you? And he said, well, the short answer and the quick way to heat up Mars is to drop nuclear bombs on the north and south pole of the Earth. So that's sort of going a bit away from the eco-friendly side of things.
Well, I mean, if you're providing another planet, so no to ruin this one, sure.
And are you saying he's eco-friendly because he's doing like work for sustainable energy and obviously cars are electric?
His whole push is renewable energy. You know, not just cars and rockets and things like that. It's, you know, technology. Most of his technology is based on renewable energy.
Yeah, like people look at Tesla as a car company, but so much more. It's not really. Yeah. When you listen to like investors, people invest in Tesla. Like your mum and dad investor who are investing in Tesla, they're investing in what they believe is a car company. But these big hitters, these big corporations, they're investing in a company that is basically all about renewable energy, and it's going to offer so much more than just an electric car.
This guy reminds me. He's like Tony Stark. He's like, but anything he does, like, influences everything so much. Like I remember when he smoked weed on Joe Rogan, and like his stocks plummeted. Or what about when he was like giving the demonstration of the new Cyber truck? It's got bulletproof windows and shit, and he goes up and like smacks it with a hammer and just smashes the window. And he's like,
stuff that one up. but I saw a video on him, and it was all about like some of the rules that he has at Tesla, and some of them actually make sense. Like with his meetings, he doesn't have more than sort of 5 people in the room at a time. If you're not contributing to the meeting, he kicks you out of the meeting. He's got like with his kids with school, he thought, well, the school system's up the shit. You know, half the stuff they learn's crap. So I'm going to build my whole new school, and there's 200 kids or whatever that go right near the Tesla factory, and kids can go there as well. So those kids, like if he's pretty switched on, I mean, what are they going to be like when they're 18? Like they're going to be next level. You'll have the future president of Mars in there.
Exactly. Well, you won't, because he said that when they move to Mars in 2024, which is 4 years
so
away.
he's already put a timeline on it.
Yeah, well, this was about 4 years ago. He said that he might be readjusting it now, but he said that there's not going to be a leader. There won't be a president or a prime minister or any leader. It's going to be 100% democratic government, where the government is all the people that live on Mars. And whenever there's an issue, they basically go to the boardroom, effectively, like we are right now, and they will vote on any issue. And they'll say, okay, look, we're going to put a farm over there, and it'll just be the whole planet.
Yeah, but he hasn't seen the original Total Recall where they live on Mars. Yeah, that was just a shitstorm.
Lord
of the Flies.
Yeah.
All it will take will be someone that tells Elon what he wants to hear, right? Yeah, mate. Yeah, I'll toe the line. Yeah, no worries. But in the back of his head, he's thinking, once I get there, I'm taking Elon out. And then I'm running the show, and I'll be making the rules. Like, where's
Mars and terraform it and take a couple of nuclear bombs at the poles can go for them. Go for it, mate.
What I read about him, so he's been married 3 times, and twice to the same woman. So he got married in 1 year or another, divorced her, shut her down. Then he married another dude, and they were married for 2 years. Then they divorced, and then the following year they got married again. And then a year later he filed for divorce, but then he pulled the plug on it. He said, "No, I don't want to do that anymore." So he pulled the plug on the divorce. So then she did it, and then they finally split up. And now he's got a missus, obviously, because he's just had a kid called Kyle. And he put her through a trial period, like a 12-month trial period. And he was talking about the time, like what time allotments should my wife have? He said, the time allotment for my business, the time allotment for my kids is going fine. but before I get a girlfriend, I'm still working out on what time allotment I'll give her. He said, I'm thinking about 10 hours a week.
If I pitched a time allotment around here, mate, I'd be sleeping in the shed.
Yeah.
It would not go down that well at all.
You have a time allotment before you're out on the street. But like, I don't know. One thing that I now read with, actually, I was listening to Sam Harris potty, and he was talking about now that him and this whatever, then Kyle and her, they're giving away all their positions. So he's now completely given up anything. He's selling all his houses, and I guess he's just given away everything, and he's just going with what he needs. So I'm curious to see how long this wife sticks around.
Is that because they're getting ready for the big move to Mars?
To Mars, yes.
You're not going to need all this stuff.
Everything must go.
Yeah, it's like that. Why are you selling this, mate? Looks brand new. Mate.
Going to Mars.
We're off. We're going to Mars.
Don't need sneakers on Mars, mate. No gravity.
What about when he got in hot water when those kids got caught in the cave in Thailand, and they were trying to solve it, and then Elon comes in and goes, "No, I'll build a sub. Like, don't worry, I'll build a sub and we'll go." And they're sort of like, "Yeah, mate, you'll be right." And then
that won't work. He's like, "Oh, you're a pedo."
Yeah, this old guy goes, he could stick the sub where the sun don't shine or something, and then Elon just teed off with the pedo called him pedo guy with no facts, but he's done that a few times.
That's such a bad thing. Like now, like there's nothing worse. Like back at, like you can call someone any name you like. But just
being called skinny or a thumb is one thing, but
but being called a racist or a pedo.
Yeah, that's
you
can't recover from that.
Yeah, it's hard
because Elon knows that even if he's obviously just made it up, there's still going to be some people going, yeah, but you don't make that sort of stuff up, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's one of those sledges where it's like, no, that doesn't add up. But there's going to be a little bit of mud to that sledge.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. And this
I can't see many people behind the stumps in a game of cricket going, here he is, big pedo John.
Well, I see in this article he's also the headline is Musk doubled down on the allegation by emailing BuzzFeed reporter Ryan Mack and calling Vernon Unsworth a child rapist with no evidence. So he's done it before.
Is that because is that because the guy was going in to save kids? I think he was actually just doing the right thing. In fairness.
Oh, he's not a pedo.
No, he died. That guy as well.
Did he?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good. All right. Yeah. Well, what's the vote?
All right, voting boys. Georgie?
Yeah, I got to go legend because you got to separate it, good and bad. So I got to go legend because he's doing what other people aren't doing.
I'll be different. I'll just go Bellend because he claims that he's going to live on Mars, and you know his stance on the coronavirus is bloody crap. And he sounds a bit of a flog. Like, good on you, good on you for doing all this stuff. But you know, calling people's pedo guy with no evidence, you know, that's just not cricket. So sorry, mate, you're a bellend.
Yeah,
Bules.
I don't know. I'm really struggling on this one.
This another section isn't called Bellend legend.
Yeah, he's not a legend.
No.
Well, okay. I said at the start of this conversation I could be swayed either way, and I'm going to have to say Jonesy gave a much better argument there, and that his wrap up, his conclusion of Elon, the Mars hunting Musk. I'll go with Bellend as well.
There you go.
But we want to hear from you guys. Yeah. Let us know.
I'll pick this hill to die on.
Is George wrong or not?
Prove us right by proving George wrong.
Has George signed with people that call innocent people pedo guys?
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below.
I'm looking forward to the cycling news headline. George supports pedo claims from Elon Musk.
Well, you might get a Tesla.
If you buy a ticket to hell, you can't blame the devil.
Yeah, well, that's it. Who else have we got?
All right, this was going to be a good one. This is for me, a pretty clear cut Bellion. George seems to reckon he's got an excuse for him or a reason why he could be a legend. And this is Israel Folau.
Oh yeah.
Well, this is easy.
Okay, someone needs to summarise the situation. So people that don't know, Israel Folau is an Australian rugby player, a great rugby player.
I just like flashing it up. Yeah. Right, go for it, George.
Oh, he's a very good rugby player. He's also extremely religious, and he's been warned a couple of times for coming out with different things. And the final with controversial views, and the final thing he came out with was an Instagram post last year that said, gays, adulterers, alcoholics. What else is on this list? There was some. I was basically guilty of 90% of them. Philanderers, gamblers. There was a couple more. Will all burn in hell. Save your souls. And so basically, just going to town saying any homosexuals, any adulterers, or anyone having sex out of marriage or
out of wedlock.
Yeah, out of wedlock was going to burn.
I've got the exact phrase here. It said, warning: drunks, homosexuals, adulterers, liars, fornicators, thieves, atheists, idolaters, hell awaits you. Repent. Only Jesus saves.
Okay. And he also said the bushfires were God's punishment to Australia for the sinners.
Timing not that good, is it?
Timing was terrible from Izzy.
Yeah.
And look, I am a non-religious person myself, but I actually, in defense of Israel, I have no problem at all with people who do believe in God, just like I have no problem with people who don't. Everyone has the right to their opinion. And I have really good friends who are religious.
Right.
And they don't judge me. And look,
I judge the shit out of you.
I've had a couple of beers and I had sex once before I wasn't married to her. So I guess I'm a sinner. But they don't judge me, And I don't judge them.
The one you're talking about, though. The one you're talking about, I'm judging you for. That was inappropriate.
Anyway, what, do you want to get a bit closer to the camera next time you launch the throat on? Jesus, so you're going to come through then. Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is I have no problem with Israel's beliefs. Good on him. I have a problem with his fucking opinions and the way he expresses it.
I'm the same. Like, if you got those opinions, what's the problem with just having those but not trying to push them on people or getting on your soapbox and saying things like that? Because what I've never understood, I'm sort of in Bewley's camp. Like, I grew up and I went through all the Catholic stuff. I did the Holy Communion and the what's the first one? Baptism. That's it. Baptism. Did all that stuff, and then got to a point in my life where I was like, I'm not really following this sort of stuff anymore, and whatever happens, and just didn't pay attention to it. But what I struggle with is when people try and stuff it down your throat and publicly judge and all this sort of stuff. Like, what's the harm in keeping that sort of stuff to yourself? Well, why do you need to get on your soapbox?
Let's put this from his point of view.
Mm.
So, since we're all doing a little virtual signal about our actual views, I would call myself an anti-theist. So I actively dislike religion. I think it's a cause of not religious people, very separate from not, I doesn't have a problem with religious people, but the idea of religion itself is, I think, is a terrible one that causes more harm than pretty much anything else in the world today. So I really don't like religion for things like this, essentially. But put yourself in Izzy's shoes, right? Imagine, as to your answer as to why he couldn't just keep it to himself, right? So imagine if you were sitting there and you believed what he believed and you truly believed it, and you were like, shit, George drinks, he gambles, whatever else is on that list, and you go, he's going to burn in hell. You genuinely believe that I'm going to burn in hell, and all these other people, you genuinely think everyone on that list is going to burn in hell. You're sitting there going, holy shit, I've got to tell these people.
Yeah.
I've got to tell these people, like, stop doing this. You're going to burn it out. If you I
don't want you to.
Like, you know, I don't want you
So
guys.
you're saying he did it purely as a public health and safety message.
Yeah, so he was trying to help us.
Yeah.
Yes, of course he was trying to help you, because he genuinely looked at that list and went, "This is what I believe. That I believe these gays. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think I could not disagree more with him. I could not think that this guy's more of a dickhead. But imagine from his point of view that you believe those are going to happen. It's like
okay. Well, then where do you draw the line? Then what if there's people that have some form of mental health issue, and they believe that something really extreme is the situation?
Like Jim Carrey, he believes that we live in people don't exist. We live in a reality.
Okay. Or they believe that I have to post a really offensive picture. And that's going to save everyone because of my beliefs or whatever.
Yeah.
And that picture could be whatever. Be a bloody
a
puppy dog with its head cut off, and that's going to save everyone. But that's my belief.
Yeah. Well, I agree.
So
what if this, then, Jonesy, to this in the same note as that? What about, let's take me for example, who I believe you can waste your whole life praying and not drinking this and eating in this time and whatever. And I post something or I talk on this podcast that I don't believe that's true. So it's going to offend some people, but it could also, so that's the nature of being allowed to express your opinion. So if someone thinks if I don't post this, if I don't, post my thoughts, then if people weren't allowed to post their thoughts, it becomes a very dangerous thing. But
what people forget is that no one gives a shit about people's thoughts.
Exactly.
So just don't tell anyone.
Yeah, what if you believe they're going to die though? What if you believed? Okay, for example, take this. Have you once in an Instagram post in the last 3 months or one of your cooking shows or something hashtagged or said at any stage, "Stay at home" or "Quédate a casa," or at any stage have you done that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's your thoughts on which I agree.
It's everyone's thoughts.
No, it's not everyone's thoughts. Look at Elon Musk. He's saying, "Let's go back to work."
Yeah, so that's why he's a bell end.
But it's not everybody's thoughts. That's your thought, which I agree with.
Yeah, but I agree with you. It's the right thought,
and you have had the right to express it. So there you go. You've said it. Whereas,
but then, isn't the whole premise with Folau is if you push something out and people are deeply offended? Seems like communities now are all about, or governments trying to protect this whole. Oh, geez, if we've got a higher percentage that not just like if someone's racist or whatever, it upsets them to the point where it really does affect them. And something like Folau's tweet, like if we're saying to people, stay at home or whatever, and they disagree, well, they're not going to be as affected by that as a message saying that, if you're gay or whatever, you're going to go to hell. So is it all about protecting people from not feeling that level of
ultimately, we have lost the freedom of speech in a sense. We've gained more freedom of speech in the modern day, but we've sort of lost it in a sense as well because people are so easily offended, and ultimately that's probably going to be the death of this podcast.
This might be our last one. So
I must admit, chapeau to George, because you have put it in a way that makes me go, actually, you do make a good point, because coming into this, we knew we were going to talk about Izzy, and you said, guys, I've got a good point here. So just let me say a piece. And coming from someone that isn't religious, I mean, that actually says that you've done a bloody good job, because you could easily go, well, he doesn't line up with what I believe, so he can get stuff. But
it's the
good
whole
on you, George.
Thing, so we right to say it. That's the whole thing of free speech. So, and also it's like Jules is saying, everyone loves getting offended, don't they? So how offended by Jones, between the three of us, I reckon we've all offended. We've ticked every box on that list.
100%.
100%.
So how offended were you when he did? If you saw it on Instagram, were you like, "Oh my god, I'm going," like I laughed.
I wasn't offended by it. Yeah,
I laughed and went, "This dickhead thinks I'm going to hell." Like, mate, I'm going to rot, and I'm probably going to get burned in ashes and sprinkled. I'm just going to be a biological. I'm going to go back into the ecosystem, and my atoms are going to be reconfigured.
I just read it and I thought, if all those people are going to hell, that's the fucking place I want to be.
Yeah, exactly. That's where the boys. That's where. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Yeah, so what are we doing? We all going legend now then for Izzy.
Yeah, we'll go legend.
No, I'm still going Ballon because like the stuff about the bushfires and all that. Like, mate.
Yeah, I can't get on board with the bushfires. But picking it, the reason I'm going to controversially go legend is that he chose that hill to die on, and he lost it. He was that committed to his outrageously, ridiculously stupid beliefs that he ripped up his...
No, but the other thing is he raised all that money for his defense. Like he was wanting to get all that money from people donating in. This is the other thing I can't understand is if it's all about religion and doing the right thing by others or whatever, you know, with the amount of money that he's on every year, do you need to take money from everyone else to represent yourself on your own beliefs or whatever?
No, but
that's what churches do, bro.
Yeah, that's organized religion. That's one of my major drives.
That's the problem. Like, if it's all about looking after everyone else, I mean, do stuff that's good with that money, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway. Jeez, we're getting deep on the boardroom.
Yeah, we've gone deep. Right.
There's a chance I've lost a couple of friends. I hope they don't listen to this.
No, I talk about getting offended. In Australia this week, we had a AFL footballer who got into trouble, Joel Selwood, and he did a TikTok video and simulated mopping the floors with his wife. Like she was laying straight, and he grabbed her and dipped her head in the water and started mopping that. And he had to take it down the next day. It was absolute uproar. Because people drew the line saying that, you know, there's obviously domestic violence issues and, you know, it's not respectful and whatever, when clearly his wife was in on it.
Yeah, she agreed to it.
Yeah, she agreed to it. And it was quite harmless. So that has created this massive divide. The majority, it's almost 50-50 of people going, well, hang on, they're just having fun. And then other people going, yeah, but it just sends the wrong message. You're right. It's getting to the point now where people just they've lost the ability to trust their own judgment and go, oh well, I think that's funny. Go for it.
Yeah, and we could talk for days about all this stuff. You know, some people, going hunting used to be how you survived. Now there's someone going, no, you shouldn't kill animals. You know, like it's never ending.
Happily would go and eat a chicken from the. In a that's not presented like an animal. It's presented like a pre-made dish. There's no connection to the dead pig that it's.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, we're going off first. So
what? So we're voting. So Jones has gone Bellend. Yeah. I'm going to go with. I'm going to stick with Bellend as well. I think.
Just because we're voting on someone on the internet, I've got to go legend.
But I wasn't as strong on my Bellend from your point you made, George. So you did a good job.
Absolutely, George. You turned up late to this meeting. You came in wearing a puffer jacket and you had to take it off after about 30 seconds when you realised how hot it was. But you have contributed in some sense to the show today by presenting an argument that nearly turned me. And I don't disagree with anything you said. I just don't like him.
And that couldn't have been a bigger task because I was pretty passionate on my Bellend status. Like, to sway that in any way was huge.
We had some input from people on the internet about potential. I think Elon Musk actually came from one of your teammates.
What would be good as well if people want to submit even things that their friends have done, like that has split the group, like. Such and such, like one of your mates has done this, and half the group reckon he's a legend for doing it, but then the other half are saying that he's a Bellend. Give us a scenario out there, and we'll read it out, and then we'll vote on what we think that person should be labelled as.
You guys do that. Go on our social media, on our comments, make it public so everyone can see it. Give us the scenario.
Give us the
scenario, and then we'll discuss whether Alan last weekend.
Their case will be presented to the social distance boardroom court.
Yeah.
And we'll make a ruling with the jury on if they're a legend or a bellend.
Did he dog the boys?
Do you think, listening to this now, feeling real ripped off, going that I signed up for a cycling podcast of some description, and then you just talked about.
Yeah, we should actually answer a couple of cycling questions, because there are people who are going asking us about Black Friday, and we haven't even spoken about it.
I would promise next week we'll touch on cycling in some shape or form.
Well, just a quick one before you go. What's to go with Froomey? Where's he going? He's wanting a mid-season transfer. Is he coming across to you guys, George?
Oh.
I don't think the Michelin boys could squeeze him into the salary cap.
Yeah, I think we're pretty full, eh? I'll get the ass card down another ring if he comes. So, as much as it would be sweet to ride with him, I think he might come.
Well, if the rumors, if over the course of a week the rumor mill is that he's coming across, we'll just put it out there if he's a legend or a bellend.
I reckon. I reckon he's staying. I reckon he'll stay anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's done a very smart marketing thing here to keep his value up, which deservedly so.
I would love to see that come back. That would be one. I reckon if he can come back,
I
think that'll be potentially from the stories I heard of how bad he was after the crash from Dan Martin that was there and stuff. I think, man, if this guy can come back,
how bad was he? Because I was out of.
Did you watch he did an Instagram live with Kevin Peterson, the cricket player, a couple of weeks ago, and I watched it. It was funny, man. KP just put it so bluntly. He's like, "So Freeman, what happened, mate? You're blowing your nose. You took your hands off the bars, blow your nose, and you crashed into a wall or something."
So what did happen? I haven't even looked into it.
I think it was the wind. The wind blew him in. He was on his time trial bike doing recon, and obviously on a time trial bike, you know enough Jones about them, like the disc wheel and the big deep front wheel and everything. In the wind, they can be pretty tricky. And I think the wind just caught him, and he was descending and picked him up and threw him into a wall. But I agree with you, George. Look, I would have no problem with Freemy winning the tour again.
I think that'd be one of sport's greatest comebacks if they happen. I think that would be.
And he's a good dude, Freemy. You know, he's just a regular bloke, just getting amongst. Hard worker. Mm. He works hard. He's got a good work ethic. Go Freemy.
All right, we ticked the cycling box. Good work, guys.
Oh, and one other thing is Lance's 30 for 30s coming out. I think.
Oh yeah,
28.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, like apparently he tells the truth this time. Whoa! Wow.
No, he's telling his truth. I bet there's a few people shitting themselves.
Yeah. So
that'd be interesting. I reckon that's going to be good. When's that out?
28th, I think, of May.
I know I'm late to this, but sport documentaries, man, I'm nearly caught up on Jordan. Holy shit! Greatest
best sports doc of all time.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't want to give it away, but they ended up winning the championship in '98. Oh, no. Yeah, they ended up winning 6.
Shit, I didn't know that. And if this closes up the boardroom up, I presented the boardroom idea to a friend of mine yesterday. I said we've started Social Distance podcast presents the boardroom, and he asked me, how do you spell boardroom? I said, how do you spell boardroom? BOARDROOM. And then he thought, I might have been a play on words, BORED, the boardroom. But I didn't, you know what I mean?
What's the punchline? Like? Is it?
Like you're bored.
Yeah, like bored. We're in a boardroom. I sort of like it.
So what's the answer? What is it currently?
Boardroom.
Well, we're the traditional one, but we should change it to board, like you're bored.
And he also said, like, when his wife says to him, do you want to play a board game? He says, they're called board games for a reason.
He sounds like a smart guy.
He's a clever dude.
Wasn't Julian Dean, was it?
No.
Okay. Well, that was a pretty good app, boys.
Yeah. So, also comment boardroom or boardroom. Boardroom.
And throw your mates under the bus. Give us a story and we'll read it out next week.
Don't worry about how fast the bus is going. Just chuck them in front of it. We'll sort them out.
Perfect.
Remind me next week to tell you a good getting thrown under the bus story. We'll save it for next week, though.
Hey, before we go, you got rid of the yips, Georgie?
Yeah, yips are gone, mate.
Good man.
Just today, I was sailing.
And I just want to say, George, that you're looking very healthy, mate. Very good.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
You're a specimen.
Yeah. Yep. Looking
You're
great.
well-rounded.
Today. So hot.
Mentally and physically, you're a well-rounded bloke.
And as Elon finishes all our shows, be kind to each other, you know?
Yeah. Be kind to each other.
Even as Folau. Okay.
The restaurants are open now and you go nitpick on some lady with busted nail polish. All right, boys.
Yeah.
See you next week in the room.